foxbangor.com. More people choose Good Morning Maine.
Hello everyone. Today on Good Morning Maine, a man from Guilford is facing murder charges after a fatal assault on Sunday night. We'll have the story coming up. Plus, school bus drivers from across central Maine gathered and trained for the upcoming school year. We'll bring you more on that as well. And Operation Hope, a Waterville-based drug prevention program, is celebrating 9 years in operation. Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Maine. I'm Janessa Bishop. Craig Colson is off for the day. We'll have those stories and much more coming up. And as always, we thank you for joining us. Now for the weather today, we'll have partly cloudy conditions with temperatures reaching the 80s. Let's start off this morning by getting a first check of our forecast. Devin Biggs joins us now.
Alrighty, Janessa, thank you very much. Happy Wednesday. Your first weather forecast brought to you by Rogan's Memorials. Give the gift of comfort through thoughtful planning with locations in Bangor, Bucksport, and Lincoln. Alrighty, let's get into things this morning. No advisories in effect. We are seeing the rain showers getting out of the area, and we are going to be watching for a little bit of cloud cover today. On top of that, we are going to be watching for an isolated shower or storm that will be developing across the region today, but otherwise we will be dry today with that partly cloudy sky. There is a system off toward the west, and that won't be causing any problems for now, but eventually it will be moving into our backyard. Here's Futurecast for today. Some clouds and isolated chance for a shower or storm, and again, that will be ending overnight. We'll have some clouds and some fog moving in overnight into parts of Thursday morning. The wind, not much of a problem today. A few gusts along the coast up to around 15 to 20 miles per hour at times. Notice that won't be a problem tonight, and even as we head towards tomorrow, the wind again not looking too bad at all. So for today, here we go. Partly cloudy, some isolated showers or storms, low 80s for the high, and that south wind at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. The hourly forecast moving forward today, a partly cloudy sky, an isolated storm cannot be ruled out. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up. Janessa?
All right, thank you, Devin. We'll see you a little later on. Well, first in the broadcast, a Guilford man has been charged with murder following a deadly assault in Guilford on Sunday night that killed one person and seriously injured another. The suspect, Ryan Carlton, made his first court appearance in Piscataquis County yesterday. Our Grace Blanchard has the details.
Following a deadly assault in Guilford, 49-year-old Ryan Carlton has been charged with one count of intentional or knowing murder and elevated aggravated assault with a dangerous weapon. On Sunday, authorities responded to 24 Pine Street for a well-being check. Moments later, police discovered a male and a female with serious injuries inside a neighboring residence. The man, identified in court documents as 63-year-old Brent Dorr, died from his injuries while being taken to the hospital. Authorities say the woman, 59-year-old Stephanie Dorr, remains in critical condition. According to a spokesperson for the Attorney General's office, Carlton was living with his mother at 24 Pine Street, directly next to the victim's house at 26 Pine Street. Officials said the first deputy on scene met Carlton outside the houses, walking from the Doors' home to his mother's house. He was arrested following the initial investigation.
It's scary, very terrifying. You don't want something like that to happen, and definitely makes me reconsider. We usually let our daughter go outside and just play, you know, with the door open and stuff like that. We can keep an eye on her, but certainly not going to be happening anymore.
During his first court appearance Tuesday, Carlton's lawyer requested a competency test. State records show he was on probation after being sentenced in December of last year for assaulting an officer. He was also convicted of animal cruelty in 2021 for killing his father's cat with a frying pan. This latest case is being prosecuted by the DA's office. Carlton remains jailed without bail in Piscataquis County while awaiting a hearing. In Dover Foxcroft, Grace Blanchard, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Well, meanwhile, a man charged with murder in the death of a Corinth man will spend 35 years in prison. 37-year-old Kenneth Kramer of Exeter pleaded guilty to the murder charge as well as drug trafficking. His sentence was part of a deal worked out with the state. Dylan Caruso was killed in Bangor in September of 2024. His body was found a month later off of a dirt road in Exeter. Court testimony revealed that he was shot in the back of the head in Bangor and then transported to Exeter, where he was then stabbed and a boulder was dropped on his body. According to court testimony, Caruso was shot because he owed Creamer $600 for drugs. Well, one of the other defendants charged in connection with the Caruso case was also in court. 33-year-old Dylan Bellinger of Corinth pleaded guilty to hindering apprehension and tampering with a witness. His sentencing has been postponed. It is contingent upon him continuing to cooperate with police and testifying at the trials for 2 other defendants. 5 people were charged in connection with the death of 31-year-old Dylan Caruso. Well, Maine State Police are investigating a crash on I-95 involving a tractor-trailer and a multi-vehicle chain reaction. It happened shortly before 4 o'clock on Tuesday afternoon. Maine State Police say the initial investigation showed that a pickup truck hauling a trailer failed to yield the right-of-way while merging onto I-95 from Coldbrook Road. The trailer struck a utility truck in the traveling lane. The crash forced the utility truck into the tractor-trailer traveling in a passing lane. The utility truck and tractor-trailer became entangled, crossed the median, and then entered the southbound lanes. The pickup truck broke free and the driver steered it back onto the median, but the tractor-trailer struck 2 vehicles traveling southbound. Miraculously, there were no reported injuries there. Well, with school right around the corner, student safety is top of mind, particularly after 2 Maine students were killed in a school bus-related accidents last year. Our Alex Schley tells us what's being done this year to help keep students safe.
Officials say since the 1960s, there have been 5 children killed in school bus-related accidents here in Maine. Safety officials are working to make sure that number doesn't grow. Tuesday, more than 250 school bus drivers from across central Maine came together at Bangor High School to prepare for the upcoming school year.
Annual bus driver training involves 17 different school districts. Their drivers are here, and we're covering topics like medical emergencies, proper procedures for pre-trip, post-trip, how to work with special needs students, and our last session we'll have somebody from the Bangor Police Department talking about interacting and liaisons with the police.
In addition to annual training, new safety measures are also being put into place.
So the state has made some changes and they've added new equipment to the buses that we're supposed to retrofit as we go along, and there's a lot of training as far as the danger zone where most children get injured or killed.
Crossarms are just one of several new safety features being implemented in Maine buses. How it works is when the stop arm goes out, so does the crossarm, creating a barrier students must then navigate around, ensuring they stay far enough away from the bus that the driver always has them in sight. There are also new standards for how drivers should survey their surroundings before moving forward from a stop position.
5 seconds, and there are certain places that you need to look on the bus. Every second counts for something, and you're looking in your door, the side mirrors, and then you're focusing to the front, and you're leaving your red lights on so nobody's moving and everybody's making sure the children are safe in their dooryard.
With the added precautions, officials say they are hopeful Maine buses will have a safe and successful school year. In Bangor, Alex Schley for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Well, in other news this morning, endorsements continue to roll in for political candidates. Planned Parenthood Action Fund endorsed Matt Dunlap's campaign for Maine's 2nd Congressional District. Planned Parenthood called Dunlap a champion for reproductive health care, saying they are proud to endorse him as they believe he will defend Mainers' rights to decide what is best for their bodies and lives. They said, quote, if elected, he will fight against the efforts to defund Planned Parenthood and cut Medicaid, which have blocked Mainers from getting the care that they need and led to health centers closures throughout rural Maine, end quote. Dunlap also adding that he will continue to protect reproductive health care access, saying in part, quote, Mainers deserve a congressman who will protect their right to choose. I'm in this race to fight for your reproductive freedom. We need to codify a constitutional right to choose to ensure every Mainer can decide what's best for their body, end quote. A drug addiction relief program in Waterville is celebrating 9 years of service to their community. Our Calvin White has more.
Since 2017, the Waterville Police Department has instilled a philosophy of education and treatment when it comes to dealing with drug addiction. For 9 years, Operation Hope, the heroin opiate prevention effort, has been in place at the Waterville Police Department, allowing citizens struggling with drug addiction the chance to seek help. Police Chief William Bonney says that Operation Hope is focused on making it known that there are avenues for recovery,
So we get out there, we're in the community, we're talking about this, always out talking to people who might need the program, offering services, trying to get them connected. And sometimes it takes multiple times before somebody's ready, but our goal is to meet people where they're at.
Bonnie has been on the Waterville Police Force for 28 years. He introduced the HOPE program to Waterville. Since then, he says the department has embraced a fully involved community effort.
Sort of the natural evolution of Operation HOPE is what we call our Community Impact Unit. So we have our Community Resource Officer, who's a sworn police officer, our Community Outreach Coordinator, who's a social worker, recovery coaches, and we work together regularly with the fire department and other service providers to try to make the community safer and healthier.
Bonnie says that over the 9 years of Operation HOPE, the program has impacted hundreds of lives in the Waterville area.
And since 2017, we've been able to help around 600 people get into treatment.
While Maine is still currently in the midst of an opioid crisis, according to Maine drug data, drug overdoses in the state have declined each year since 2019. So far this year, overdoses have fallen 9.5% since 2025. In Waterville, Calvin White, ABC7, and Fox 22 News.
Well, the time now is 6:11. Coming up next on Good Morning Maine, Congresswoman Shelley Pingree is calling for accountability in the ice-related shooting of a young father in Biddeford. But first, let's take another look at the forecast. For today, partly cloudy skies with some isolated storms, temperatures in the low 80s. Overnight tonight, partly cloudy with some areas of dense fog, temperatures dipping down to around 60. And for tomorrow, increasing clouds with highs around 82. We'll be right back.
Let's find out if our contestants are as smart as I am. Are you overconfident?
No, I'm like sweating.
These stars could win big bucks for a good cause.
We are very excited to let these charities down.
Jimmy Kimmel hosts The Any Winning Millionaire tonight on ABC.
First, it was Graham Plattner's problems with women.
And now, Troy Jackson.
According to a police report, Troy Jackson kicked down a door, punched a man in the face, and pushed his ex-girlfriend. As state Senate president, there are multiple reports of Jackson yelling and screaming at women. Jackson even threw a water bottle at one woman.
Make no mistake, this is an attempt to intimidate and control women.
Maine deserves better than Troy Jackson.
Pine Tree Results PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Looking for the perfect gift? Come explore the Purple Baboon. Sweatshirts, t-shirts, jewelry, inspiring local books, one-of-a-kind treasures and souvenirs, they have something for everyone. The Purple Baboon, the best selection at great prices. 31 Front Street, Belfast.
On the pavement, Sunday, October 4th at the Sea Dog in the Bangor waterfront. Register now at purpleirisfoundation.com or scan the QR code. Start a fundraiser, win prizes. Sign up by September 1st and get a free t-shirt. Goodie bags for the first 200 people to register. Cancer survivors sign up for free. Proceeds support those battling cancer in Maine. Pound the Pavement, sponsored by the Sea Dog, Summit America, Peter and Deb Brontis, Eventful Maine, ABC7, and Fox 22.
After 7 months of being detained by ICE, an asylum seeker from Brazil is back home with his family in Maine. Marcos Gaspar da Silva was on his way to work when ICE agents took him into custody in January during Operation Catch of the Day. He says he was in the country legally. Brad Rogers sat down with Marcos and his wife.
Marcos Gaspar da Silva and wife Alessia are celebrating their anniversary today, days after ICE agents released him from an Arizona detention facility where he was held for 7 months. He told us about one overcrowded facility in Mesa, Arizona.
It's supposed to be for 25 people, but always it's over 50, 48, and we cannot even sleep on the floor all together.
Did ICE pressure you to leave the country?
Yeah, always the mask. Sign for deportation, it's better, it's more quickly because some people stay over here for a long time.
He still doesn't know where in Arizona he spent the last 6 months behind bars, where he says he had to buy bottled water with money his wife sent because it was unsafe to drink.
It was eye-opening to me of just how broken and corrupt our administration is. You know, I was born here. My grandfather fought for the things that we are seeing in our streets now. He went over and protected others, and now my own country is doing that.
It is meant to be cruel,
The founder of Lake Region Indivisible had volunteers ready to help the Gaspar da Silva family any way they could, while Alessia's husband went through 7 months of separation and trauma.
I mean, think about it. He was in a survival mode in a prison, not knowing if the next day he was going to be sent back to Brazil or some other country.
Amy Strum was in Congresswoman Shelley Pingree's ear, knowing with her help, Marcos would have a better chance of being released.
She and her office helped immensely.
Marcos told us even though he's free, he feels no joy, no happiness. Even walking in the park with a green card, he fears ICE agents may return.
When I'm inside the house, I feel safe, but the outside, I'm not.
He's been conditioned to just accept everything for the past 7 months.
And that was Brad Rogers reporting. Well, on that same topic, following up on a hearing Monday in southern Maine, Congressional District 1 Representative Shelley Pingree called for accountability in the shooting of a young father in Biddeford by an ICE officer. According to Pingree, the target was someone else entirely. Our Callie Warren explains.
Pingree reiterated in that hearing that 25-year-old Columbia national Johann Sebastian Duran Guerrero was not who ICE was targeting. Pingree says it was, in fact, his roommate that ICE officers were looking for. The roommate was the owner of the car that Duran Guerrero was driving when he was shot and killed by ICE. Pingree said Guerrero did not have a final removal order, but he did have a valid work permit in the U.S. and a pending asylum case. Guerrero was shot and killed by an Immigrations and Customs Enforcement agent near his Biddeford home in a car on July 13th. Pingree called that discovery a shocking revelation and clear contradiction to what ICE and the U.S. Department of Homeland Security have said about the shooting.
More than 1 month later, there are still so many basic questions about what happened that remained unanswered by ICE and the Trump administration. We are here to examine the circumstances of that tragic morning in July and the enforcement policies that brought armed federal agents into our quiet communities in the first place, and whether ICE has even a basic understanding of the people it's targeting.
The Department of Homeland Security released a statement to the Associated Press on this matter, saying that ICE conducted, quote, targeted surveillance on the last known address of an illegal alien with a final order of removal. They continued, quote, we are not going to disclose law enforcement sensitive intelligence and methods. Nowhere did we state that Johann Sebastian Duran Guerrero or his roommate were the target of the operation, end quote. During that hearing, Pingree expressed concern regarding ICE tactics and information in light of this incident.
How is ICE deciding who to target and detain in Maine? What information are its agents relying on? And is anyone checking whether that information is complete or even correct?
Duran Guerrero's shooting is still under investigation by the Maine Attorney General's office. He is survived by his parents, partner, and daughter. Several other prominent state Democrats continue to be vocal about this shooting and their concerns about ICE in the state. In studio, Callie Warren, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Well, the time now is 6:18. After the break, more law enforcement officers are accused of accessing flock cameras. We'll have more on that ahead. Plus, the Levant Fire Department is hosting their annual Spark Pug Academy. We'll tell you all about it as Good Morning Maine continues.
Got old metal and junk cars? Turn that clutter into cash at Daddy and Daughters. We make recycling easy, fast, and fair. From Skowhegan to Dover Foxcroft, from Troy to Lee, you can trust our certified scales and friendly service, offering top prices for junk vehicles in Maine. Whether you drop off or we pick up, Daddy and Daughters covers central and eastern Maine. Come see us at one of our 4 locations and watch your scrap pay off. Daddy and Daughters turn scrap into cash.
Here are the facts about Susan Collins and Medicaid. Susan Collins was the deciding vote to advance Donald Trump's Medicaid cuts.
Susan Collins was the deciding vote to advance the bill.
Now, thousands more Mainers are expected to lose their Medicaid coverage. Hospitals and clinics are shutting down, all to give massive tax breaks for billionaires. Look up the facts yourself and tell Susan Collins to stop voting for Trump's healthcare cuts.
Thinking of buying a used car? Be on the alert for the potential for fraud with private vehicle sales.
Knowing the signs of fraud and doing your research can help ensure you get a good deal and not swindled. Before handing over your hard-earned cash, thoroughly research the vehicle's history. And remember, if a deal seems too good to be true, it probably is. Brought to you by this station, the Maine Association of Broadcasters, and the Office of the Secretary of State.
Since 2015, the Levant Fire Department has held an annual event that trains children in hands-on firefighting skills and also bears an adorable logo. Our Sam Miller tells us that the logo was born out of the community, rebounding following a devastating tragedy.
For over a decade, the Levant Fire Department has hosted its annual Spark Pug Junior Academy, a 3-day camp where a select few 4th graders get to experience the ins and outs of being a firefighter. The program was created after a tragic fire that claimed the life of a 9-year-old child in July of 2015. In an effort to turn grief into community education, the department adopted a pug puppy that was rescued from the blaze as their mascot and developed an acronym based on safety.
We developed the plan of plan, understand, get out, so we use PUG as our main term, and then that created Spark Pug Academy.
Oh! Okay, now stop and go!
On Tuesday, the children got into their fire suits and competed in a time trial hands-on obstacle course, which put their skills to the test as they navigated a simulated firefighting situation.
There you go.
Levant Junior firefighter and Academy lead instructor Brady DeWitt says it's incredible to see how engaged the children are through this process.
It's amazing to me because as a kid I didn't have that opportunity, but them learning shows us that we have faith that we can see future kids coming up here and that the fire service isn't going to die out.
The children also received a visit from the Maine Air National Guard Fire and Rescue. They learned about how the ANG responds to community fires and got to demonstrate how they put them out. Campers say the program is a perfect blend of education and having fun.
If you go through this program, you can learn all this stuff while having fun, so it makes it easier.
The department continues to build an impactful legacy in the aftermath of the tragedy. In Levant, Sam Miller, ABC 7, and Fox 22 News.
Say Marines! Perfect! Good picture.
Well, it certainly looks like a lot of fun. Last summer, actually, I was lucky enough to go cover that story myself, and I just have to say the firefighters that put that on are absolutely incredible. Well, the time now is 6:22. Let's get a full look at our forecast with meteorologist Devin Biggs.
Alrighty, Janessa, thank you very much. Your full weather forecast brought to you by Rogan's Memorials. Give the gift of comfort through thoughtful planning with locations in Bangor, Bucksport, and Lincoln. Alrighty, here we go. Wave height's a little bit active this morning at around 2 to 3 feet according to the buoys, and a little bit higher further off towards the north and east. Not enough to prompt any advisories this morning, so overall we are looking pretty good. Further off towards the east, 6 to 10 foot wave heights are being observed. But again, for us, we have no advisories in effect at this moment in time. Meanwhile, the rain has moved off to the east. We are dry this morning under a partly cloudy sky. And overall today, we will stay dry. An isolated chance for a shower or storm will be possible today. We have a surface trough overhead. And overall, again, once we get this out of here today, we are going to be dry for a little bit before eventually we get a little bit more precipitation moving into our backyard. So futurecast moving forward today, again, we'll have some clouds, slight chance for a shower or storm today. Notice we get some clouds again later on tonight, and some areas of dense fog will also be a possibility. As we head towards your Thursday, we will be dry with a lot of sunshine. Some more clouds into the afternoon and evening time frame will clear out overnight in the parts of your Friday. The wind's not much of a problem today. Some gusty winds along the coast up to around 15 to 20 miles per hour at times. That will calm down later on tonight into parts of your Thursday. And Thursday overall, set aside to the north, the wind will not be much of a problem. Let's talk about the dew points. The dew points will be coming down as we move forward, especially for your Friday and the early Saturday. Saturday, we'll see a little bit of a bump into your Sunday. And then Monday, the dew points will be back down. So for today, partly cloudy. We'll have an isolated chance for a shower or storm. Low 80s for the high, and that south wind at about about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Later on tonight, we have low 60s for the overnight low. Partly cloudy areas of dense fog and the wind overall looking nice and calm. Tomorrow, we have low 80s, increasing clouds, northwest breeze at about 5 miles per hour. And your extended forecast for your Friday, mostly sunny. We have low 80s for the high. And then Saturday, mostly cloudy. We have low 80s as well for the high. And then Sunday, showers and thunderstorms, a bit cooler. We'll have mid-70s for that high temperature.
Ready to create your backyard oasis? Alexander's Professional Landscaping will work with you to create your perfect outdoor space. Work one-on-one with our landscape designer to create a unique garden to fit your family's personal aesthetics and lifestyle. Have our pros install your new lawn, garden, or patio. Schedule a consultation today by calling 573-4497. Alexander's Professional Landscaping, the way landscaping should be.
I went to work in the woods after high school. The harder we worked, the more that the companies took from us. That's why we organized. We made them listen. People are doing everything they can right and still cannot get ahead. Susan Collins keeps telling us everything is just fine. Who has she served? She has served Donald Trump. She has served the billionaires. She has served herself. We are getting screwed, and I'm running to change that.
Government that Works PAC's responsible for the content of this ad.
Here are the facts about Susan Collins and Medicaid. Susan Collins was the deciding vote to advance Donald Trump's Medicaid cuts.
Susan Collins was the deciding vote to advance the bill.
Now, thousands more Mainers are expected to lose their Medicaid coverage. Hospitals and clinics are shutting down, all to give massive tax breaks for billionaires. Look up the facts yourself and tell Susan Collins to stop voting for Trump's health care cuts.
Listen to the heartbeat of America.
The Chevy Equinox doesn't miss a beat, with dependability for the miles ahead.
Hey Google, text the block party crew, we're almost there.
And tech to make them smoother, making every arrival that much bigger.
Or get this low mileage lease on this 2026 Chevy Equinox LT for around $329 per month. Visit your main Chevy dealers.
You're watching ABC 7 Bangor.
Welcome back, everyone. Well, new concerns are coming to light about the conditions on Navy warships that are supporting the war on Iran. This as South Korea confirms its joint military exercises with the U.S. are indeed being cut short. ABC's Karen Watt is in Washington with the details.
Overnight, South Korea confirms its joint military exercises with the U.S. are being cut short. The 11-day drills typically prepare soldiers for a North Korean attack. They'll now end 6 days earlier than planned, per Trump's orders, citing his good relationship with dictator Kim Jong-un. The president also upset South Korea declined to support his war against Iran. It comes as the Navy faces new scrutiny, following the news that another destroyer, the USS Benfold, had a major breakdown in the South China Sea. The 300 sailors on board reportedly had limited drinking water, no toilets, and no air conditioning after the ship suffered a complete loss of power. It was later towed to the Philippines for repairs. The Benfold was part of the fleet heading to the Middle East to relieve the USS Lincoln, whose crew has been at sea for a record 268 days as part of the war on Iran. The Lincoln's 9-month deployment was marked by broken plumbing, as well as food and supply shortages, leading to reports of sailor attempts to jump overboard. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth denying there's a problem.
We make sure that every ship, every crew, every captain has everything we can provide them at every single moment.
Some Democrats criticizing Hegseth's lax attitude as he rallies for a proposed $1.5 trillion Pentagon budget. Arizona Senator Ruben Gallego demanding Trump provide a clear plan to end the war before Congress approves of any new funding.
So far, the mission has changed and the objective has changed so many times, and then we could potentially talk about the funding.
The power failure on the USS Benfold happened 3 weeks ago, a Navy spokesperson says, due to a generator issue, adding no crew members were injured. It's not clear why the Pentagon waited so long to disclose this. Karen Hua, ABC News, Washington.
Meanwhile, Trump said on a Truth social media post yesterday that the Keystone XL pipeline, a project canceled by former President Joe Biden in 2021 after years of indigenous and environmental opposition, may be awoken from the grave, but he did not provide any details. In that same post, Trump announced that he was putting a 3-day pause on new 50% tariffs set to go into effect on Canadian goods at midnight, saying that the two countries had reached a deal. An hour later, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney said in a statement, quote, "Substantial progress has been made, although there is important work that still needs to be done." Canada is the world's 4th largest oil producer and major energy exporter, shipping about 90% of its output here to the United States. Trump signed an order in April granting a cross-border permit to that specific project. Well, emotional testimony at the Lindsay Clancy murder trial taking place outside of Boston. The mother accused of killing her 3 young children. Lindsay Clancy's mother-in-law testified to the young mother and said that she was begging for help in the weeks before she strangled her 3 children. Susan Clancy described her daughter-in-law as nurturing, loving, and a wonderful mother who confided that she was having insomnia, was losing her appetite, and was growing anxious and sad. A psychologist also testified there who evaluated Lindsay Clancy after January 24th. He described a phone call that she made to her husband from her hospital bed and also described her state of mind at that time. If convicted, Clancy faces life in prison. If she's acquitted, she would be committed to a psychiatric hospital for further treatment. A growing number of law enforcement officers are accused of inappropriately accessing those controversial flock cameras, reading license plates across the country. And more Americans are now pushing back, destroying or blocking the cameras amid those privacy concerns. Here's ABC's Lionel Moyes.
This morning, a police officer is behind bars and another is facing termination, both accused of misusing flock cameras, a system of more than 120,000 automatic license plate readers used by law enforcement nationwide. In Wisconsin, an officer was jailed for using the system for non-police purposes. And in Massachusetts, an officer is facing termination and possible charges for allegedly accessing information on someone unlawfully 5 different times. The cameras scan every plate that passes, logging it into a database police can search. No warrant needed. The Washington Post reports at least 50 officers around the country have been accused of using plate readers to, quote, spy on their wives, their girlfriends, and their exes.
This has gone national. This has gone without any kind of brakes on the system.
And some people are taking matters into their own hands. In Minneapolis, this man climbed a camera pole and disabled the technology, vowing to take down every flock camera. In Florida, a retiree spends his Saturdays in a lawn chair, holding a sign on a pole in front of the lens. And online, covers are being sold designed to slip right over the cameras. Amid the growing backlash, by the end of the year, Flock is requiring every department to turn on a tool that flags suspicious searches and automatically locks that officer out pending review.
We are finding bad cops and holding them accountable.
Flock also says it will delete data after 7 days instead of 30. Cities can also require a criminal case number for every search. Lionel Moyes, ABC News, New York.
Well, coming up on the second half of the newscast, we'll learn about one of the oldest libraries in Maine and their relocation efforts. This and more as Good Morning Maine continues.
Hey Red Sox fans, you've got to play You Pick'em Red Sox at foxbangor.com. Local weekly winners receive prizes from Chase's Family Restaurant in Bangor or from Chick-fil-A. Register now at foxbangor.com. You Pick'em Red Sox is sponsored by Seasons Grill and Lounge on Main Street in Bangor, Twin City Tile, State Street in Brewer, and Bogies on Stillwater Avenue in Bangor.
Do you take propane tank?
Anything goes.
How about cardboard?
Anything goes.
How about old rug?
Yeah, anything goes.
So this too?
Furniture removal, basements, garages, attics, hoarder houses. It doesn't matter here at Anything Goes Junk Removal. Anything goes. Well, almost anything.
Augusta politician Troy Jackson. While his family cashed in, you paid the price. As state Senate president, he voted repeatedly for higher taxes. Troy Jackson voted to allow cities and towns to drastically raise your property taxes, hurting our seniors and working families the most. And Jackson supports raising taxes on your Social Security, making Mainers pay more while his family cashed in. We can't afford Troy Jackson in the Senate. Pine Tree Results PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising. He put his life on the line for his country. Senator Susan Collins isn't forgetting him or any of our veterans. She's delivered millions in federal funding to improve housing for veterans across Maine and provide housing vouchers to make sure Maine veterans have a place to call home. She's also worked tirelessly to provide the quality mental health care our veterans deserve. Call and tell Senator Collins to keep fighting for our veterans. You're watching ABC 7 Bangor.
The University of Maine and the Maine Center for Research in STEM Education are teaming up to support the next generation of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics teachers to help keep them in the classroom. The program builds on the success of a previous fellowship, which supports early career STEM teachers during their first few years in the profession. Research shows that many new teachers leave the field within 5 years. Now, high school STEM teachers from across Maine are working together, sharing ideas and learning from experienced educators.
These grants are meant to support early career teachers who often leave the profession within the first 5 years. So the NOISE program is specifically trying to help retain excellent teaching and support them through the initial first years of teaching.
Well, the goal is to build a stronger community for new teachers, giving them the support and resources they need to stay in the classroom and help prepare Maine's future STEM workforce. Well, now let's turn things right back over to meteorologist Evan Biggs.
Alrighty, Janessa, thank you very much. Happy Wednesday. Your first weather forecast brought to you by Rogan's Memorials. Give the gift of comfort through thoughtful planning with locations in Bangor, Bucksport, and Lincoln. Alrighty, let's get into things this morning. No advisories in effect. We are seeing the rain showers getting out of the area, and we are going to be watching for a little bit of cloud cover today. On top of that, we are going to be watching for an isolated shower or storm that will be developing across the region today, but otherwise we will be dry today with that partly cloudy sky. There is a system off toward the west, and that won't be causing any problems for now, but eventually it will be moving into our backyard. Here's Futurecast for today. Some clouds and isolated chance for a shower or storm, and again, that will be ending overnight. We'll have some clouds and some fog moving in overnight into parts of Thursday morning. The wind, not much of a problem today. A few gusts along the coast up to around 15 to 20 miles per hour at times. Notice that won't be a problem tonight, and even as we head towards tomorrow, the wind again not looking too bad at all. So for today, here we go. Partly cloudy, some isolated showers or storms, low 80s for the high, and that south wind at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. The hourly forecast moving forward today, a partly cloudy sky, an isolated storm cannot be ruled out. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up. Janessa?
All right, thank you, Devin. Well, now for the latest on what's happening in Hollywood, here's ABC's Dave Packer.
I got something I want to talk about.
Madonna topping Taylor Swift in the MTV Video Music Award nominations. The network says Madonna earned 11 nominations. The 68-year-old pop icon has now been nominated in every decade of her musical career. Swift had the second most nominations with 9. The 2026 VMAs will be in Los Angeles on September 27th. Shakira is pledging to help rebuild at least 10 schools in a remote region of Colombia. Her home country was devastated by last week's earthquake that killed hundreds and affected thousands of educational sites. The music superstar made a surprise visit to damaged schools and has committed support from her foundation. Olivia Colman. Oscar-winning actress Olivia Colman is the latest to join the star-studded Only Murders in the Building cast. The 6th season of the hit Hulu comedy is currently in production in the UK. Disney is the parent company of Hulu and ABC News. And happy birthday to John Stamos. He turned 63 today. That's what's happening in Hollywood. Dave Packer, ABC News.
Well, still to come here this morning, Jack Webb with sports. Don't go away.
Kirk Fisher is a motorcycle attorney with first responder experience. He protects fellow riders and those in danger, fighting fires and fighting for your rights. Experienced, determined, and dedicated. Iron Horse Motorcycle Lawyers. Look for motorcycles, or Kirk Fisher will be looking for you.
30 years living that Washington, D.C. lifestyle. That'll change a person. Getting rich from insider stock trading should be illegal. But Susan Collins doesn't think so. Susan Collins wants to keep it so senators can play the stock market, make millions of dollars doing it. Why we struggle to pay for gas, groceries, health insurance, the basics. For them to get all that money, why we're paying more, it's not right. It's not right. Tell Susan Collins to stop this congressional stock trade.
Family Feud asks, what were they thinking?
You're at an open casket funeral. You notice the deceased pants were unzipped. What you gonna do? Unzip pants.
I would write a note.
You want him to read it?
Family Feud.
Weekdays at 9 on ABC 7.
When you combine a fast-paced word game,
4 of them make $1.
Quarters. Hosted by Leah Remini.
What is swing?
Did you just say what is?
Yes.
You just realized you're not on Jeopardy. Okay.
You've got People Puzzler.
Weekdays at 10 on ABC 7.
Welcome back in, folks. In the closing weeks before the start of the 2026 football season, the Maine Black Bears have finally named a starting quarterback. Our Max Sturm has the story.
After weeks of practice and discussion, the Maine football team has named a starting quarterback for the 2026 season. And that man will be redshirt sophomore Eddie Bueller.
I couldn't be more happy. We got a great group. It's an honor to lead these guys. It was a hard competition, 2 other great quarterbacks, and I just am honored to have this opportunity.
We're excited that he's going to be leading us, and have full belief in him, and excited to see him out there next week. A lot of work to get done between now and then, but I think he's off to a great start.
The decision to name Bueller QB1 came down to not only his on-field intangibles.
He's accurate. He can extend plays with his legs. He can run. When he gets downhill, he's fast. He can eat up ground.
But also how he holds himself and his team accountable as a leader.
Just a vocal presence. I mean, his work ethic is tremendous. He wants to lead, and he's active in trying to lead, and that's something that we've seen, since winter workouts.
Bueller says he's worked hard to become a fierce leader, and that having the trust of his team directly correlates to his on-field play.
I value connection. All the guys, they got to love you on and off the field. You got to be a guy that's the same guy off the field as on it, and I think that when I'm on the field, they all have to trust me, and it becomes with my play as well. They have to trust that I'm the best guy for the job, and I think that I grew as a leader this offseason by just building the connection with everyone on the team.
Those connections have seemingly paid off, as both offensive and defensive players alike are extremely confident in what he brings to the table.
Eddie is a great pick because I've seen his drive, his competition, and also that he's a great leader of this team. And I have full faith in him, and I think he's going to do great things for this football team this year.
Eddie's a great guy. He's a great leader, and his on-the-field traits show as well. And I'm excited to have him. Me and Eddie real close, just off the field, on the field, and I'm excited.
He wants to be the starting quarterback here at Maine. He loves his team and loves his teammates, so it's hard not to get behind that.
Bueller will take his first snap as the Black Bears QB1 on August 27th versus Townsend. In Orono, Max Sturm, ABC 7 and Fox 22 Sports.
Thank you for that, Max. Staying with Maine Athletics, we have an exciting announcement on Sunday, September 6th at 11 a.m. Fox 22 will be broadcasting the Maine field hockey team's game against Davidson University live from Orono. Make sure to tune in. You won't want to miss that electric Maine field hockey action. The Red Sox have won 2 straight over the Diamondbacks, and reinforcements could be on the way with Roman Anthony and Trevor Story both beginning rehab assignments on Tuesday. Roman made his return to Hadlock Field down in Portland and picked up right where he left off a few summers ago. 2 for 2 with 2 walks, including a bomb over the right field wall and out of the stadium as you see this beautiful lefty swing right here on your screen. Here was the Sox young star after the game.
I was saying I think that was the swing that I was the most impressed with today. Just going out and getting it and hitting it where it's pitched, and that I was happy about that. Taking the walks, hitting that one the other way, knowing that it's still in there. So it was good. Like I said, after that, felt very comfortable. Saw a lot of pitches, and then used the other side of the field, and that's when I feel like I'm at my best is when I'm going that way. So.
Story, however, went 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. I guess I spoiled it earlier, but the Sox were in action against the Diamondbacks on Tuesday night, taking on the D-backs. Sox up 3-0 in the third, but with the bases loaded, Gabriel Monero blasts one into the top of the monster, and that's a grand slam. What a turn of events in the third, but just half an inning later, newly acquired catcher Adley Rutschman, he's going to turn on a high heater for his first home run in a Sox uniform. He had his best game so far as a Red Sox, 2 for 3 with a homer and a walk. And then shortly after, it's going to be Mickey Gasper, the character born well out after his time with that mustache. He blasts a solo shot to dead center to put the Red Sox up 7-4. That was power. This time it's finesse. Gasper in the 7th. He's going to drop one into shallow left center field to drive in another run as the Red Sox will go on to win this ball game 9-4. That's 2 straight. They've won 2 of their last 3. Finally tonight, some sad news out of Bristol, Connecticut, as Bill Rasmussen has passed away, the sports fan turned broadcaster and entrepreneur whose out-of-the-box idea of a 24-hour cable sports network, ESPN, changed forever the landscape of sports media. Passed away from the effects of Parkinson's disease at the age of 93. ESPN chairman Jimmy Pitaro says in a statement, quote, "Simply none of us would be here today if it wasn't for Bill's passion and all the hard work and entrepreneurial spirit he put into building ESPN in the late 1970s, key aspects of our company culture that still carry on to this day." Now that's all the time we have.
30 years living that Washington, D.C. lifestyle. That'll change a person. Getting rich from insider stock trading should be illegal. But Susan Collins doesn't think so. Susan Collins wants to keep it so senators can play the stock market, make millions of dollars doing that. Why we struggle to pay for gas, groceries, health insurance, the basics. For them to get all that money, why we're paying more, it's not right. It's not right. Tell Susan Collins to stop this congressional stock trade.
The right dock should fit your shoreline and make life on the water easier, more rewarding, and more fun. When you choose Shoremaster from Hammond Lumber Company, you get all that, along with unmatched strength, versatility, and style. Shoremaster's tool-free Infinity Track system makes adding accessories a breeze. Hammond also offers polydock floating docks, perfect for deep or fluctuating waters. Transform your waterfront into your personal paradise with a Shoremaster Infinity Dock system or floating polydock system from Hammond Lumber Company.
Do you take propane tank?
Anything goes.
How about cardboard?
Anything goes.
How about old rug?
Yeah, anything goes.
So this too?
Furniture removal, basements, garages, attics, hoarder houses. It doesn't matter here at Anything Goes Junk Removal. Anything goes. Well, almost anything.
Welcome back, everyone. Well, one of the oldest libraries in Maine has relocated. The South China Public Library was created in the 1830s, and since then there's been a lot of change. So residents worked hard to fundraise for a new building filled with books, gathering spaces, and even room to grow. Our Jody Hersey takes us there.
The South China community was shaped by Quakers who moved to the area in the 1800s. In fact, locals say it was the Quakers who first established the town's historic library on Village Street.
The old location had a lot of limitations. We did outgrow the building, but it was on a very tiny lot. There was no plumbing, there was no running water.
2 years ago, the all-volunteer staff and library board began fundraising to move this much-loved space physically and literally into the 21st century.
The part that we're in is new construction, and that opened in January of 2024. We also have a portable classroom, which is where the children's room and the meeting room are located.
The library is filled with over 10,000 books, including a section dedicated to its Quaker roots. There's also internet and a puzzle exchange for patrons to use.
When we have events, people linger afterwards, and it's like a big cocktail party, and it's really brought the community together.
We love to visit the library. The girls look forward to it every week.
Even though the South China Public Library has settled nicely into its new location on the Jones Road, volunteers say it's still in need of support and donations.
The tiny money we get from the town doesn't cover the lights and purchase of books and everything, so we're always fundraising, and somehow it just works.
In South China, I'm Jody Hersey for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Well, congratulations to them. Well, now here's meteorologist Devin Biggs with our full weather forecast.
Alrighty, Janessa, thank you very much. Your full weather forecast brought to you by Rogan's Memorials. Give the gift of comfort through thoughtful planning with locations in Bangor, Bucksport, and Lincoln. Alrighty, here we go. Wave height's a little bit active this morning at around 2 to 3 feet according to the buoys, and a little bit higher further off towards the north and east. Not enough to prompt any advisories this morning, so overall we are looking pretty good. Further off towards the east, 6 to 10 foot wave heights are being observed. But again, for us, we have no advisories in effect at this moment in time. Meanwhile, the rain has moved off to the east. We are dry this morning under a partly cloudy sky. And overall today, we will stay dry. An isolated chance for a shower or storm will be possible today. We have a surface trough overhead. And overall, again, once we get this out of here today, we are going to be dry for a little bit before eventually we get a little bit more precipitation moving into our backyard. So a futurecast moving forward today, again, we'll have some clouds, slight chance for a shower or storm today. Notice we get some clouds again later on tonight, and some areas of dense fog will also be a possibility. As we head towards your Thursday, we will be dry with a lot of sunshine. Some more clouds into the afternoon and evening time frame will clear out overnight in the parts of your Friday. The wind's not much of a problem today. Some gusty winds along the coast up to around 15 to 20 miles per hour at times. That will calm down later on tonight into parts of your Thursday. And Thursday overall, set aside to the north, the wind will not be much of a problem. Let's talk about the dew points. The dew points will be coming down as we move forward, especially for your Friday and the early Saturday. Saturday, we'll see a little bit of a bump into your Sunday. And then Monday, the dew points will be back down. So for today, partly cloudy. We'll have an isolated chance for a shower or storm. Low 80s for the high, and that south wind at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Later on tonight, we have low 60s for the overnight low. Partly cloudy, areas of dense fog, and the wind overall looking nice and calm. Tomorrow, we have low 80s, increasing clouds, northwest breeze at about 5 miles per hour. And your extended forecast for your Friday, mostly sunny. We have low 80s for the high. And then Saturday, mostly cloudy. We have low 80s as well for the high. And then Sunday, showers and thunderstorms, a bit cooler. We'll have mid-70s for that high temperature.
Troy Jackson likes to keep it in the family. When Jackson was Senate president, his son was one of the highest paid lobbyists in town. Special interests paid his son, and Jackson changed his positions. Just another dirty politician. SLF PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
People ask me all the time, are those commercials really true? Does Lowry & Associates really get all of those clients, all of those big settlements? Yes, we do. We really have gotten millions of dollars for Mainers hurt by commercial vehicles. And the insurance companies know when you call the twos, we're going to fight for you. And you know what else is true? I really am standing on top of this big truck.
Hurt by a big truck? Call the twos. We win for you.
You know, we can go into a room and have absolutely nothing in there, nothing on the windows, no color, no character, no tone to a room.
That's, I think, where we're strongest, is being able to help someone envision what's going to go in that window.
And we leave, it's totally transformed into something that the customer wants it to be. We've often been told we make a room look better just by leaving it.
He put his life on the line for his country. Senator Susan Collins isn't forgetting him or any of our veterans. She's delivered millions in federal funding to improve housing for veterans across Maine and provide housing vouchers to make sure Maine veterans have a place to call home. She's also worked tirelessly to provide the quality mental health care our veterans deserve. Call and tell Senator Collins to keep fighting for our veterans.
You know GLP-1s are helping millions lose weight, but could GLP-1s also be the new fountain of youth? An all-new study seems to think so. This morning on Good Morning America, what you don't know about GLP-1s and if this is all too good to be true.
A Ukrainian couple who escaped to America is keeping one of their overseas passions alive here in the States, as they recently opened an attraction that draws summertime visitors eager to take a peek at some dazzling sea creatures. Alex and Yana Yavoski previously lived in Ukraine, where they created successful aquariums, including a jellyfish museum in the capital of Kyiv. But when Russia invaded the country back in 2022, they decided to flee to the U.S., where they have now opened a private jellyfish museum in Florida this past spring. The museum is almost 10,000 square feet and contains around 20 different species of jellyfish from Florida and all across the globe. According to the Pompano Beach, Florida, where the museum is located, the facility is believed to be the first museum in the U.S. specifically dedicated to jellyfish. The museum is the only attraction the couple has opened since coming to the U.S., but they say they do want to expand the aquariums in the future. Very pretty. Well, if you've ever seen Spider-Man in the Odyssey and are tired of the summer blockbusters, there's a smaller film playing in theaters that may be the perfect alternative. Cat Video Fest is now playing in independent theaters in both the U.S. and Canada. A portion of ticket proceeds benefit cat charities, shelters, and animal welfare organizations. Cat Video Fest is a yearly compilation of the best cat videos that the founder and curator, Will Braden, can find. The film is about 70 minutes, and Braden says that it's won some people over who are not cat lovers. Cat Video Fest is now in its 9th year and has sunk its claws into the global market as well. Definitely worth a watch. Well, that's all the time that we have left for this hour, but you can join us for the second hour of Good Morning Maine. That's next on Fox 22. Have a great day, everyone.
Lakeshore Restaurant in Dexter is open for the season, featuring a wide selection of seafood, lobster, salad.
Down. Special interest paid his son, and Jackson changed his positions. Just another dirty politician. SLF PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
This Labor Day weekend, we're celebrating Bob's 35th anniversary.
A lot has changed since we opened in 1991, but we still do things the Bob's way.
That means everyday low prices on the latest styles,
with financing to fit any budget.
And we still make furniture shopping fun, with free treats
and ice cream.
So dare to compare at Bob's and come celebrate our 35th with us this Labor Day weekend.
Time to party like it's 1991. Oh my God!
Your call is important to us.
You've heard this before, too many times. Tired of being customer 45978? Yeah, we would be too. Speed means fast uploads, no lag, and zero buffering. But it also means calling you back, showing up on time, and treating you like a person, not a problem. So whether you're working, streaming, gaming, or all three, it is time to make the switch to a provider that actually tries. Go NetSpeed. Service isn't dead. It just moved local.
Here are the facts about Susan Collins and Medicaid. Susan Collins was the deciding vote to advance Donald Trump's Medicaid cuts.
Susan Collins was the deciding vote to advance the bill.
Now, thousands more Mainers are expected to lose their Medicaid coverage. Hospitals and clinics are shutting down, all to give massive tax breaks for billionaires. Look up the facts yourself and tell Susan Collins to stop voting for Trump's healthcare cuts.
I'm Deborah Norville, and this is The Perfect Line. Arrange these holidays, these historic firsts, these animals by weight.
I have no idea.
Weekdays at 10 on Fox 22.
Good Morning Maine on WFVX, Fox 22. To the Rockbound Coast and streaming live in HD worldwide at foxbangor.com. More people choose Good Morning Maine.
Hello everyone. Today on Good Morning Maine, a man from Guilford is facing murder charges after a fatal assault on Sunday night. We'll have the story coming up. Plus, school bus drivers from across central Maine gathered and trained for the upcoming school year. We'll bring you more on that as well. And Operation Hope, a Waterville-based drug prevention program, is celebrating 9 years in operation. Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Maine. I'm Janessa Bishop. Craig Colson is off for the day. We'll have those stories and much more coming up, and as always, we thank you for joining us. Now for the weather today, we'll have partly cloudy conditions with temperatures reaching the 80s. Let's start off this morning by getting a first check of our forecast. Devin Biggs joins us now.
Alrighty, Janessa.